First question says work out 7 over 8 minus 1 over 4. Whenever we're adding or subtracting unlike denominators, we first have to make the denominators equal. So as we can see, 8 is 4 times 2, which means we can multiply the second fraction by 2. Now always remember that when you're making the denominators equal, whatever you multiply with the denominator, the same number will also get multiplied to the numerator. That is exactly why it's 1 times 2 in the numerator. So now we have 7 over 8 minus 2 over 8. Since the denominators are equal, we can combine it as a single fraction and write 7 minus 2 in the numerator, which is going to give us 5 over 8. Part B says work out 0.08 times 0.2. So I'm going to begin with converting the decimals into fractions. To convert it into a fraction, I'm going to move the decimal 2 places to the right in 0.08, which is going to give me 8 over 100. And for 0.2, we move the decimal 1 place to the right. That's going to give us 2 over 10. Now your denominator is based on how many places you're moving the decimal. Every number basically has a denominator of 1. Whether it's 8, it has a denominator of 1, or 0.08, that also has a denominator of 1. So when we try to get rid of the decimal by moving it towards the right-hand side, the number of places the decimal moves, that many zeros are added in the denominator. Why? Because if it was 8 over 100, and if you were supposed to convert it into a decimal, it would be 0.08. So basically, you're going backwards. So that's why 0.2 became 2 over 10, because you move the decimal 1 place towards the right. Hence, we have a denominator of 10 for 2. So now we multiply the numerators and the denominators to each other, which is going to give us 16 over 1000. Now we're going to do the opposite thing again. I'm going to move the decimal 3 places to the left now. So that's going to be 0.016. And that's your answer. Write these numbers in order of size, starting with the smallest. So let's convert everything into a decimal. 304 is 0.75. 17 over 20 is going to be 0, because 17 is less than 20. 17 minus 0 is 17. Add a decimal, add a 0. 20 times 8 is 160. Remainder 10. Add a 0 again. And 20 times 5 is 100. So 17 over 20 is equal to 0.85. 82% can be rewritten as 82 over 100, which, as we did earlier, would be 0.82. So now if we compare these, we can see that the smallest one is 0.75, so 3/4 is the smallest. Next we have is 0.8. After that we have 82%, then 0.83, and lastly 17 over 20. So whenever you have this question in your exam, just try to convert all of the terms in the same form. Either convert all of them into decimals, fractions, or percentages, and then compare the quantities. Work out 45% of 30. So we're going to do 45 over 100. Rewrite the percentage as a fraction. Of means multiplication, so times 30. We can cancel 1 0 from the 30 and 1 from the 100. So now we have 45 times 3 over 10. 45 times 3 is going to be 3 5s are 15, carry the 1. 4 3s are 12 plus 1, 135. So that's 135 over 10. Same concept one again. Every whole number has a decimal at the end, so we move the decimal one place to the left because we're dividing by 10. That's going to be 13.5. Question 4 says shade one more small square. So the diagram has rotational symmetry of order 4. So for this, first we'll have to make the boxes for each rotation and see which one we need to shade. So let's start with the first rotation. So let me just make this first as neatly as possible. So this is our first rotation. So when we rotate it first, in the clockwise direction, so this line will come over here. This will be this, and this will come under this. So this is first rotation in clockwise direction. Now for the second rotation, we will have this line will be over here, and this will be over here, and we will have two colored ones over here. This is the second rotation. Now for the third rotation, now what we will have is this, and this over here, and these. Yeah. So now for the last rotation, we will finally be able to figure out which box we need to shade. So that's going to be, these come over here, these come over here, and this comes over here. Box that need to shade is going to be this. This will give us a rotational symmetry of order 4. Because with every other rotation, we can see that it's not going to the original form. But on the fourth rotation, we get the original form, but the only unshaded box is this. So throughout this time, we were supposed to shade this box. And in case there is confusion about the sides, I'll highlight that. This length over here has been this, 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 and this through all the rotations. Then for the other one, I'm going to draw the line for all of them. This has been this one, this one, this one, and this. This side has been this in the first rotation, this in the second rotation, this in the third, and this in the fourth. And lastly, your this length has been this in the first rotation, this in the second rotation, this in the third rotation, and this in the fourth rotation. So hopefully this color code will help you understand how the shape is moving and which side is at the top and at bottom as it's rotated. Then it says shade two more small squares so the diagram has two lines of symmetry. So to have two lines of symmetry, let me just draw the lines first. So we can see that we can shade this over here and this over here. This way we have two lines of symmetry for the given shape. When it says simplify, so we'll add the like terms, and since in this equation, all terms have a attached to it with the same degree of power. So it's going to be 3 minus a plus 2a. 3 minus a is 2a, and 2a plus 2a is 4a. Question 6 says ABC is a triangle with AC equals to 5 centimeters and BC equals to 7 centimeters. Using ruler and compasses only, construct triangle ABC. Side AB has been drawn for you. So what you will do is, you will open your compass to 5 centimeters and you will put the pointed part at A and draw an arc over here. And then you will repeat the same. So if I just draw this arc, let's say this is the arc for 5 centimeters. Then you will repeat the same steps from point B, but this time you will open the compass to 7 centimeters. So then you will draw an arc of 7 centimeters from point B, and the place where both the arcs intersect, that is going to be your point C. So once you've identified that spot, you connect your A and B to point C, and that would be your triangle. And it says using a straight edge and compasses only, construct the perpendicular bisector of AB. So for the perpendicular bisector of AB, what you will do is you will measure your length of AB, then you will open your compass to more than half the length of AB. So once you've done that, you will put your pointed part at A and draw an arc above and below the line. Then you will repeat the same steps of point B with the same length that the compass has been opened to, and draw an arc above and below the line. So the intersection of these two arcs above and below the line will give you the perpendicular bisector of AB. So the points that lie on this line, they're equidistant from A and B. And you can check if your perpendicular bisector is correct or not by measuring the distance of A from the perpendicular bisector and the distance of B from the perpendicular bisector. Both these distances will be equal, or basically half of what AB is. Then it says point W lies inside the triangle ABC. The point W is closer to A than to B. On your diagram, shade the region which W lies. So if we go back to this, your point is closer to A than to B. So we know our perpendicular bisector was somewhere over here. So since it's closer to A than to B, then this is going to be the locus of the point. And this will be our shaded region. Evaluate 4 to the power of 0. So anything to the power of 0, whether it's like a variable to the power of 0 or a number to the power of 0 or a fraction to the power of 0, will have the value of 1. So whenever you see something raised to the power of 0, that entire thing has a value of 1. Simplify m cubed times m to the power of 5. Now this is also one of the rules of indices. Whenever you have similar bases, base is basically your a. Similar bases being multiplied, you will add the powers. So since we have the similar base of m, we write the base as a single base and add the powers. So it's going to be m to the power of 3 plus 5, which is m to the power of 8. Next question says, write 6,300 meters into kilometers. 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. So 1 meter would be equal to 1 over 1,000 kilometers. Basically, a kilometer is a bigger unit than a meter. So when you're going from a bigger to a smaller unit, you multiply it by 1,000, like in this case. And if you're going from a smaller to a bigger unit, you will divide by 1,000. So since we're going from meters to kilometers, we will divide 6,300 by 1,000, and that's going to give us 6.3 kilometers. You cancel out the 2 zeros, and 63 over 10 is 6.3. Convert 1 centimeter square to 1 millimeter square. 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeter. So if it's 1 centimeter square, that means it's going to be 10 millimeter times 10 millimeter, which is basically 100 millimeter squared. That is your answer. Question 9 says the interior angle of a regular polygon is 156 degrees. Find the number of sides of this regular polygon. So for the interior angle of a polygon or a regular polygon, the formula we use is n minus 2 times 180 divided by n. N is your number of sides. So the interior angle is given as 156. N is what we have to find. So 156 equals to n minus 2 times 180 over n. Cross multiply to get rid of the fraction. So it becomes 156n. And then we expand the bracket. So 180n minus 2 times 180, which is 360. Collect the like terms on each side. So I take 360 to the left-hand side. It becomes positive 360. And the right-hand side, we have 180n minus 156n. So 180 minus 156 is 24. So 360 equals to 24n. Divide both sides by 24. And what we have is 15 as the number of sides. A triangle has one angle of 55 degrees. The other two angles in the triangle are in the ratio of 3:2. Calculate the size of the smallest angle in the triangle. So if we draw a triangle, let's say this is 55. We don't know what these two angles are, but we have the ratio of these two angles. So we know sum of angles in a triangle equal to 180. So if we subtract 55 from 180, that would give us the sum of angles of the remaining two angles. So sum of angles of the remaining angles that's going to be 180 minus 55, and that is basically equal to 125. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use the 125 and this ratio to calculate the other angles. So for the first angle, I'm going to do first angle 3 over 3 plus 2 times 125. Now, a very common mistake could have been that instead of using 125, you were using 180. because obviously we know that the sum of angles of a triangle is 180. Since we're excluding the 55 from the sum, so that changes the sum to 125 in this case. Hence, we're going to do 3 over sum of the values in the ratio 3 plus 2 times the total sum of angles for these two angles, which is 125. So that's 3 over 5 times 125. 5 ones are 5. 5 times 25 is 125. And 3 times 25 is going to give us 75. Now for the second angle, we will do 2 over 5 times 125, which is 2 times 25, and that is 50. So as you can see, 50 is the smallest angle because one angle was 55 and the other is 75. So that's your answer. By writing each number correct to one significant figure, estimate the value of this. 58.24 in one significant figure is 60. 32.5 is 30. And 0.126 is 0.1. So 60 divided by 30 times 0.1. 30 times 0.1 is going to be 3. And 60 divided by 3 is 20. So that's your answer. Solve the simultaneous equations and show all your working. So I'm going to use substitution method for this. And I'm going to make y the subject in the first equation. So what we have right now is 2x minus y equals to 12. I'm going to swap the negative y with 12. That will give me 2x minus 12 equal to y. This is your third equation. Now I'm going to substitute the third equation in the second equation so that the entire equation is just in terms of x. So we'll have 7x plus 3 times 2x minus 12 equals to 29. As you can see now, we have just one unknown variable in this equation. So it's easier to find the value of it. So 7x plus 6x minus 36 equals to 29. 7x plus 6x is 13x. And 29 plus 36 is going to be 65. So now we do x equals to 65 over 13, which is basically going to equal to 5. So x is 5. Now to find the value of y, we'll substitute x equals to 5 in your third equation. So that's going to be y equals to 2 times 5 minus 12, 10 minus 12, and that is equal to negative 2. So x is 5 and y is negative 2. Question 13 says the diagram shows triangle A and triangle B. Describe fully the single transformation that maps triangle A onto triangle B. So for triangle A to be mapped onto triangle B, we can see that it's not a rotation. If it was a rotation, the direction of the shape would be different. We can tell that it's not an enlargement because the size of the shape is exactly the same. So what's left is a translation. So pick a point from shape A and pick the same point from shape B. This point has the coordinates of 3, negative 1. And this one has the coordinates of negative 2 and 3. So if we compare the 2 points, 3, negative 1 and negative 2, 3. For 3 to become negative 2, we are subtracting 5. And for negative 1 to become positive 3, we are adding 4, which means the translation vector is going to be negative 5 and 4. It's moving 5 units towards the left-hand side and 4 units up. That's how you can read this translation vector. Then triangle A is mapped onto triangle C by an enlargement center 0, -1 and scale factor 2. Draw triangle C. Of enlargement is 0, -1, which is this point. Let's highlight a point on the original shape of which is A. So if we check the distance of the center of enlargement from the pink point, you know it's 3 units, which means for the enlarged shape, your distance would be 6 units. Why 6 units? Because we know that the scale factor is 2. So 2 times 3 is 6. Scale factor is 2. Yeah. So this point becomes this point for the enlarged shape. So now for the other points, we know that distance between these 2 points is 2 units. So for the enlarged shape, the distance would be now 2 times 2, which is 4. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. This point over here. And for the third point, which is this orange point, the distance between the green and the orange point is 1, which means for the enlarged shape, it's going to be 2. So this is going to come over here. So now if we connect the points, this is your enlarged shape, which is triangle C. And to make sure that it's correct, what we can do is we can draw lines from the center of enlargement towards corresponding points. So this has to pass through all these 3 points. And this line, this line also has to pass through all these 3 points. So since all these 3 lines are passing to the center of enlargement, the corresponding points on both the shapes, that means this enlarged shape is correct. Then it says express 60 as a product of its prime factors. So we can break down 60 as 6 times 10. You can also break it down as 30 times 2 or 20 times 3, like even 12 times 5, like there's no restriction on that. 6 is 3 times 2 and 10 is 5 times 2. As you can see, 3, 2, 5 are all prime numbers and they want prime factors, which means we can write these as 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. Now, whenever the same number is being repeated, you write it as an index. So 2 times 2 becomes 2 square and 3 and 5 come as it is. In the next part, it says a school buys packs of pens and packs of rulers. There are 60 pens in each pack of pens. There are 42 rulers in each pack of rulers. The school wants to buy exactly the same number of pens and rulers. Work out the smallest number of each pack the school should buy. So for this, what we'll do is we'll find the lowest common multiple of 60 and 42. 60 and 42. We know 16, 42 both come in the 6 times table. 6 times 10 is 60 and 6 times 7 is 42. 10 and 7 don't come in the same times table. So 7, 5, 10 comes in the 5 times table. So 5 times 2 is 10 and 2 only comes in the 2 times table. So the lowest common multiple of 60 and 42 is going to be 6 times 7 times 5 times 2, which is 42 times 10, and that is 420. So they want us to figure out the smallest number of each pack the school should buy. So we have 42 rulers in each pack and 60 pens in each pack. So to find the number of packs of rulers, we will do 420 divided by 42, which is 10. So that is the smallest number of packs of rulers we can buy. And for packs of pens, we do 420 divided by 60. That is going to equal to 7. So the smallest number of packs of pens we can buy is 7 packs. That is your answer. The point A has position vector of 3, -7, and the vector AB has the vector of -5, 12. Find the coordinates of B. OB will be OA plus AB. O is given as 3, -7, and AB is -5 and 12. So 3 minus 5 and -7 plus 12 is going to be -2 and 5. That is your position vector for point P. So the coordinates will be -2 and 5. Then says find the magnitude of AB. So magnitude of AB is going to be square root of the square of the x coordinate, which is -5, plus the y coordinate, which is 12. -5 square is +25. Whenever we multiply two negative integers, the answer is positive. And 12 square is 144. 25 plus 144 is 169. And 169 is a square number. 13 times 13 is 169. The square root of 169 is going to be 13. That is your magnitude of AB. And the next question says, a four-sided spinner numbered 1 to 4 is spun many times. The table shows the results of the spins. The mean of the results is 3. Calculate the value of B. So these are your X values and these are your F values. Mean is basically sigma Fx over sigma F. Sigma, the sign means sum. So sum of the product of f of x values divided by sum of the frequency. So we will multiply 1 with 6, 2 with 5, 3 with 13, and 4 with p, and add these up, and this becomes our numerator. So 1 times 6 plus 2 times 5 plus 3 times 13 plus 4 times p. And all of this is divided by your sum of frequency, which is 6 plus 5 plus 13 plus p. So if you simplify that, that's going to be 6 plus 10 plus 39 plus 4p over 24 plus p. Now this entire thing is basically equal to the mean of the results, which is 3. So to find the value of p, I'm going to cross multiply. That's going to be 3 times 24 plus p equals to 6 plus 10 plus 39 plus 4p, which is basically equal to 55 plus 4p. Expand the brackets on the left hand side. So 3 times 24 is 72 plus 3p equals to 55 plus 4p. Swap the terms, collect the like terms on each side. So it's going to be 72 minus 55 equals to 4p minus 3p. 72 minus 55 is 17. So your p value is 17. Find the relative frequency of the spinner landing on 2. So the spinner landing on 2 has the frequency of 5. So the relative frequency, what we'll do is, we will divide the frequency of the spinner landing on 2, which is given as 5, by the total frequency, which is 6 plus 5 plus 13 plus 17. 17 is your value of P. So that's going to be 5 divided by 41. For relative frequency, always remember, divide the frequency of an event happening by the sum of frequency. Factorize 4b square minus c square. This is a difference of perfect squares. Why? Because we know 4 is a square number, 2 square, b is being squared, and c is being squared. So we have two perfect squares being subtracted. So difference of perfect squares has the formula of a square minus b square, which when factorized looks like a minus b times a plus b. So keeping that in mind, we're going to use the same formula to factorize 4b square minus c square. 4b square can be written as 2b whole square, and c square, which can be written as 2b minus c times 2b plus c. You can write 2b plus c before or 2b minus c before. It's the same thing, like there's no restriction on that. Then it says factorize x square plus 5x minus 6. So we're going to use middle term breakage for this. Step 1 is to multiply your coefficient of x square, which is 1, with your constant, which is 6. So 1 times 6 is 6. Now we have to list down the factors of 6. So 6 has the factors of 2 times 3 and 6 times 1. From these set of factors, we have to choose that set of factors which when added or subtracted give the middle term, which is 5x. So we know that 2 plus 3 is 5 and 6 minus 1 is also 5. So both factors give us like the value of 5. So let's try plugging in both the factors and seeing how we can decide which one is the best one. So x squared plus 5x minus 6. First, I'm going to replace 5x with 2x plus 3x. So x squared plus 2x plus 3x minus 6. As you can see, what we did was we broke the middle term into two other numbers, which when added or subtracted gave us the middle term. So in this case, when we added 2x and 3x, that gives us 5x. So basically, it's the same equation, but the middle term has been broken down. So between the first two terms, we have x common. It's going to be x plus 2. And between the last two terms, we have 3 common. So it's going to be x minus 2 inside the bracket. Now, as you can see, we cannot further factorize it because inside the first bracket, we have x plus 2. And inside the second bracket, we have x minus 2. We can't take this common because both have different signs. Hence, 2x plus 3x is not the right option. Now, if we use the second set, which is 6 minus 1, x squared plus 5x minus 6, replace 5x with positive 6x minus x. So now we again factor by grouping. In the first group, we have x common. So x plus 6 in the first bracket. And the second group, we have negative 1 common. So x plus 6 in the second bracket. Now, unlike the first calculation, we can see that both the brackets have the same terms with the same signs, which means we can take x plus 6 common. And the second bracket, we'll have x minus 1. That shows this is the correct option for factorizing x squared plus 5x minus 6 compared to us taking 2x plus 3x as the breakage of the middle term. Question 18 says the region R is defined by these three inequalities. Find and label region R. So for the x values between 1 to 5 and 1 and 5 are included. So we'll have a complete straight line. Then for y value, it's from 0 to 4. So we'll have the axis over here and y equals to 4 over here. Next, what we have is y is greater than equal to 3 minus x. So first, let's sketch this. Y is equal to 3 minus x. First, put x equals to 0 to find the y-intercept. That's going to be y equals to 3 minus 0, which is 3. So one point is 0, 3. That is going to come over here. Then we put y equals to 0 to find the x-intercept. That's going to be 0 equals to 3 minus x. Minus 3 equals to negative x, and the negative sign gets cancelled out. So 3 equals to x, and we have 3, 0. So that's going to be over here. So now let's connect the points. So as you can see, our region that is defined by all these three inequalities is basically this. So this is our answer. Question 19 says we have a universal set which has numbers 1 to 12. The set X has numbers 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11. And Y has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The first question says find the intersection of X and Y. So intersection means what's common between both the sets. So we know there's 2 common, there's 3 common, there's 5 common, and that is it. So that's 2, 3, and 5. These are the common elements between X and Y. Then it says a number k is chosen at random from the universal set. Find the probability that the k is not a subset of X union Y. So let's first find X union Y. X union Y would include all the elements in X and Y, and the ones that are repeated, we only write them once. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 11. These are the elements for X union Y. So now those who are not a part of this would be the remaining ones, which are going to be 12, 10, 9, and 8. So that means we have 1, 2, 3, 4 elements, and total number of elements are 12, which means our probability is going to be 4 over 12, which can be simplified to 1 over 3. That is your answer. On the Venn diagram, shade the set A intersection complement of B union C. So complement of B union C would mean things that are not included in B and C. And since there's an intersection with A, that means it's just going to be this. These are the first 5 terms of a sequence: 4, 8, 16, 32, and 64. Find the next number in the sequence. So let's see if there's a common difference between these. So we're adding 4 over here. Then we're adding 8. Then we're adding 16. So as you can see, we're adding each consecutive term. The next one. So which means 64 plus 64 would give us the next term, which is going to be 128. Then it says the nth term of the sequence above is 2 to the power of n plus 1. Write down an expression in terms of n for the nth term of these sequences. So if we compare the given sequence with the original one, that's 4, 8, 16, 32, 4, 8, 16, 32, and 64. So we can see that there's a difference of 3 between each of these terms. Common difference is 3 between the first original sequence and the new sequence. So they've already said that the original sequence has an nth term of 2 to the power of n plus 1. Since both the sequences have a common difference of 3, that means what we will do is to the given nth term, we will subtract 3 from it. Because as you can see, the first term is 1 in the new sequence and the old sequence is 4. Then the same for the second term. The first term is 5 for the new sequence and old term is 3. So even if you find like one of these terms, let's say the third one, 2 to the power of 3 plus 1 minus 3. That's going to be 2 to the power of 4 minus 3. 2 to the power of 4 is 16. So 16 minus 3 is 13, which is what's given over here. Hence, your nth term for this new sequence will be 2 to the power of n plus 1 minus 3. Now for the next sequence, let's write down the original sequence again. 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. For the original sequence, our nth term is 2 to the power of n plus 1. Now if we compare these two sequences, between the first two terms, we have a difference of 6. Between the next two terms, we have a difference of 11. Then the third two terms, we have a difference of 16. And between 53 and 32, we have a difference of 21. And between 90 and 64, we have a difference of 37. So let me just highlight these 6, 11, 16, 21, and 37. This is the difference between each term in the new and the old sequence. So what we will do is, if we write these differences 6, 11, 16, 21, and 37. If we compare these first differences, we can see that there's a difference of 5 between these first differences. This is your first difference. So this is your second difference now. So what we will do is we will use the second difference to create a part that will be added or subtracted to the nth term and see how this new sequence and figure out what the nth term is for this new sequence. So if we say the nth term is 5n, P1 would be 5 times 1, which is 5, which is not matching with what the sequence is for this common difference, which means we need to add 1 to this. So for Tn 5n plus 1, for the sequence of the common difference, find the second term. That's going to be 5 times 2 plus 1, which is 11. Which means to our original nth term, to n, 2 to the power of n plus 1, we will add 5n plus 1. Why? Because if we check the terms from the sequence in the question, T1 would be 2 to the power of 1 plus 1 plus 5 times 1 plus 1. 2 square plus 5 plus 1. 2 square is 4 plus 5 plus 1, and that is 10. This is exactly what the first term is over here. So to break it down and like summarize this, first what we did was we compared the original sequence with the new sequence. We found the difference between the two sequences. That was the first difference. Then what we did was we found the difference between the first difference, which is the second difference. And when we compared the second difference, we can see that there's a common difference between the first differences. So we use that common difference to find the remaining part of the nth term for the new sequence. And that came out to be 5n plus 1 for the pattern of the first differences that we found. So that nth part, which is 5n plus 1, gets added to the 2 to the power of n plus 1 to create the final nth term for the given sequence in the question. because basically all of these new sequences are like a branch of the original sequence, which has the nth term of 2 to the power of n plus 1. So whatever new nth term we calculate based on the differences, that gets added to the original one. Question 21 says f of x equals to 6 over 2 minus x. Find f of -1. So that's going to be 6 over 2 minus -1, which is 6 over 2 plus 1, 6 over 3, and that is 2. Find the inverse of x. So first we put the function equal to y. That's going to be y equals to 6 over 2 minus x. Cross multiply to get rid of the fraction. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make y the denominator of 6. I could have expanded the bracket as well, but that's like a very lengthy route. So just to make it simpler, just directly take y to the other side and make it the denominator for 6. And since the goal is in making the inverse to make x the subject over here, so we're going to swap x with 6y. It's going to be 2 minus 6 over y equals to x. Now, since x is the subject, we can replace x with f inverse x and y with x. And this is your inverse. And part C says f of t equals to f of 5t plus 2. Find the value of t. So let's replace x with t and 5t plus 2 in the original function of f. So that's going to be 6 over 2 minus t equal to 6 over 2 minus 5t plus 2. So if we simplify the denominator on the right hand side, that's 2 minus 5t minus 2. That's going to be 6 over negative 5t because 2 minus 2 is 0. Now we cross multiply. So negative 5t times x equal to 6 times 2 minus t. I'm going to cancel out the 6 over here because if we bring the 6 over here, that's going to be 6 divided by 6, and that's 1. So just to make the calculation less time consuming, just cancel out the 6's, and we have negative 5t equals to 2 minus t. Collect the t's on one side. Negative 5t plus t equals to 2, which is negative 4t. So t is going to be 2 over negative 4, which is negative 1 over 2. That is your value of t. Question 22 says ACD and BC are straight lines. AB is parallel to ED. Prove that triangle ABC is similar to triangle DEC. This is parallel to this. So if you remember the properties of parallel lines, alternate angles are equal. Angle BAC is equal to angle CDE because alternate angles. Similarly, this angle will also equal to this angle because once again they're alternate angles. Angle ABC is equal to angle DEC because alternate angles. And lastly, these two angles are equal because they're vertically opposite, and vertically opposite angles are also equal. So angle ACB is equal to angle ECD because vertically opposite angles. So this is how you can prove that both the triangles are similar, because the angles are exactly same for both these triangles. AB equals to 6 centimeters, ED equals to 2 centimeters. Area of the triangle ABC is 45 centimeters square. calculate the area of triangle DEC. So whenever we have similar shapes, your ratio of the lengths from both the triangles are like equal to each other. By what? By that, what I mean is that if I draw these two triangles over here, this is your, I'm going to call this CABC, and this is your CDE. Okay. So they said AB is 6, ED is 2. So as you can see, AB, the length AB is similar to the length ED, because as we said, both the triangles were similar. We proved that in the previous part. If the triangles are similar, if the angles are similar, the lengths are also going to be similar. So your ratio of ED over AB being squared is going to equal to the area of triangle EDC divided by the triangle divided by the area of triangle ABC. So ED is given as 2 and B and AB is 6 squared equals to X. I'm going to call this area X over here, and that is 45. So whenever we have similar shapes and they're asking us to find the area, what you will do is you will always square your ratio of lengths. If they're asking you for the volume of if they were asking you for the volume of two similar shapes, then you would cube the ratio of lengths. So 2 over 6 is 1 over 3 squared equals to X over 45. 1 over 3 squared is 1 over 9. Cross multiply 45 over 9, and 5 centimeters square is your value of X. That is your answer. Question 23 says expand and simplify. Multiply X with X and -2 and 5 with X and -2. So that's going to be X times X plus X times -2, 5 times X and 5 times -2. Which is X squared minus 2X plus 5X minus 10. That's X squared plus 3X minus 10. That is your answer. Then it says write as a single fraction its simplest form. Once again, since we have unlike denominators with fractions, since we have fractions with unlike denominators being added, so we'll make the denominators equal by multiplying the first fraction by X plus 5 and second fraction by X minus 4. So that will give us 3 times X plus 5 over X plus 5 times X minus 4 plus 2 times X minus 4 over X plus 5 times X minus 4. That's going to be 3X plus 15 plus 2X minus 8. I'm going to combine it as a single fraction because the denominators are equal now. 3X plus 2X is 5X. 15 minus 8 is 7. So that's going to be 5X plus 7 over X minus 5 times X minus 4. If you want to expand the brackets in the denominator, that is also fine. If you want to leave it as it is, that is also perfectly correct. Question 24 says that we have a matrix A and they want us to find the square of this matrix, which means we multiply A with A. That's going to be -6, 1, 2, 4 times itself. Whenever we're multiplying matrices, you need to make sure that you multiply the first row of the first matrix with the first column of the second matrix. Then you multiply the first row with the second column, and then repeat the same steps with the first row. And then repeat the same steps with the second row. So what I mean is that we'll do -6 times -6 plus 2 times 1, -6 times 2 plus 2 times 4, 1 times -6 plus 4 times 1, 1 times 2 plus 4 times 4, which will be -36 plus 2, -6 plus 4, -12 plus 8, and 2 plus 16. Positive 36 over here. So that's going to be 38, -2, -4, and 18. That is your matrix for A square. Matrix P is given as x -5 to -3. We have to find the value of x given that the magnitude of B is -2. So -2 is going to equal to x times -3 minus -5 times 2. That's -2 equals to -3x plus 10. -2 minus 10 is -3x. -12 equals to -3x. Divide both sides by -3. 4 is your value of x. That is your answer.